A new home is often celebrated as a fresh beginning, walls painted with hope, foundations laid with dreams, and windows open to the promise of tomorrow. For Too Deep, stepping into this chapter with James and little ByteNews felt like a second chance at life. Yet beneath the glow of fresh starts, James carried a burden that no bricks or mortar could shield him from, the shadow of a storm he feared might shatter everything he loved. The evening sky was already darkening when the first real warning arrived. The wind pressed hard against the hills, rattling the windows as if the earth itself was restless. James stood silently at the bedroom window, his eyes tracing the restless horizon. The storm outside was fierce, but it was the invisible one, looming in the background of his life, that unsettled him most. Too Deep, her eyes glistening, moved closer. She touched his arm softly, her voice trembling like the flicker of a candle in the wind. "I'm afraid," she whispered, "that one day, my child will be taken from me." Her words struck him like lightning cracking open the night sky. James turned instantly, clasping her hands with a conviction he almost willed into existence. "As long as I live," he vowed, "no one will take you or ByteNews from me." It was a promise spoken from the heart. But James knew better than anyone that promises alone cannot stop shadows from returning. The return of a ghost named John. In the hushed alleys of the town, whispers began to resurface. The name John, a ruthless adversary who had once tasted defeat but never accepted it, slipped again into the conversation of merchants and laborers. Worse still, rumors hinted that some of James's former business partners, resentful and envious, were plotting with John. Their aim was not only to dismantle James's company but to break the fragile peace he had carved with Too Deep and their little girl. Meanwhile, ByteNews played innocently in the corner of the room, stacking colorful stones into miniature towers. She had no idea of the weight pressing down on James's shoulders. Every laugh, every sparkle in her eyes, reminded him that he could not falter again. He had already lost too much: trust, friends, even parts of his youth to betrayal and hardship. To lose his family now would be like dying a second death while still alive. That night, the rain fell mercilessly, drumming against rooftops as though the heavens themselves were warning James, "Prepare yourself." He realized he could no longer just be a businessman, he had to become a fortress, a shield, the ground beneath Too Deep and ByteNews' feet. Fear in the marketplace. The next morning carried an eerie quiet. In the village marketplace, hushed gossip spread quickly. John had been seen roaming the outskirts. When a neighbor casually mentioned it, Too Deep froze, clutching ByteNews tightly to her chest as if her arms alone could guard against cruel hands waiting to snatch the child away. James saw the terror in her face and moved to comfort her, gently touching her cheek. "Trust me," he told her. "I have faced storms far greater than this. And this one, I will not let it destroy us." It was more than reassurance. It was a soul-deep vow. Yet even as he said it, a question echoed in his mind. Would love be strong enough to withstand the snares of fate? Or would happiness, once again, slip like rain through his fingers? The unwanted news. At dawn, the horizon barely lit, James received the news he dreaded. John was back, bolder than ever. Workers claimed to have seen unfamiliar men lurking near the road to the new house. James clenched his fists. He knew John wasn't just a rival in business, he was the kind of man who would strike at innocence to exact his revenge. Inside, Two Deep prepared breakfast. BNHI darted around the table, laughing, her footsteps filling the room with joy. For a fleeting moment, James wished life could be only that, warmth, laughter, and the smell of bread. But reality refused such simplicity. "We need to talk," James said gravely. Two Deep looked up, already sensing the worst. "What happened?" "John is back," James admitted, exhaling heavily. "He won't give up." Her eyes filled with tears. She instinctively wrapped her arms around BNHI, who stared back in confusion. "So it's true," she whispered. "The storm isn't over." James pulled her close, brushing a hand through Benie's hair before holding Two Deep's shoulders. "Listen to me. I will not let him touch you. I will protect our home, whatever it takes." A battle in the shadows. That afternoon, James sought out Tom, his most trusted ally. In a weathered wooden warehouse, a place where many hard decisions had once been made, they spoke in hushed tones. "He's moving quickly," James said. "I've heard he bribed men to watch you," Tom replied. "Then we move faster. I won't wait for his strike." Back home, Two Deep tried to mask her unease, walking the garden paths, tending to chickens and the fruit trees just beginning to bear. But nothing soothed her. Every sound on the street jolted her heart with dread, each one a reminder of her greatest fear: losing her daughter. When James returned late that night, exhaustion etched into his face, he said little. He simply sat beside her, holding her hand in silence. Words weren't necessary. They both knew the storm was drawing near, but they also knew they were united. BNHI slept peacefully that night, hugging a toy James had bought her. Watching her, James thought, "While I live, no one will take this piece from her." It was a promise, not to Two Deep this time, but to himself, the warning in the dark. The sky was heavy with clouds when James, restless and unable to sleep, paced the living room. The ticking clock hammered his nerves. Then, suddenly, movement outside. 2 shadows crept in the yard. Grabbing a lantern, James stormed out. "Who's there?" he barked. His voice cut through the night. The men froze, then one whistled. In an instant, they vanished down the road. James chased them briefly but stopped. He realized it wasn't an attack, it was a message. John wanted him to know, "I'm watching you." The next morning, Too Deep noticed the hollowness in James's eyes. "You didn't sleep," she murmured, brushing his cheek. "He was here," James admitted. "He sent men to circle the house. It was his warning." She gripped his hand tightly. "James, I'm afraid, not for me, but for BNHI. If he tries to take her." "It won't happen," James growled, anger burning in his chest. "I swear it. Face to face with the enemy." Days later, James received an anonymous note. A meeting in an abandoned warehouse by the river. He knew exactly who had sent it. Against Tom's advice, he went alone. The air inside was damp and cold. From the shadows, John emerged, his eyes as cruel as James remembered. "You've changed," John sneered. "Now you have a little family." James stood tall. "If you touch Too Deep or BNHI, there will be no negotiation." "It ends here." John laughed darkly, stepping closer. "You still don't get it. I don't just want your company destroyed. I want your life shattered. That woman and child, they're your weakness." James's fists tightened, but he held back the rage. "They're not my weakness," he said firmly. "They are my strength." For a moment, silence suffocated the room. Then John leaned forward, snake-like. "Then let's see if your strength can withstand the storm I'm about to unleash." Love as a fortress. That night, as James returned, Too Deep sat on the porch listening to the restless wind. She rushed to him, and he held her with the ferocity of a man clinging to everything he valued. Looking at the dark sky, James thought, "The storm is coming. But this time, I won't face it alone." Happiness, many believe, is found in calm seas and problem-free days. But James's story reveals something truer. Happiness isn't the absence of storms, but the strength to endure them together. He could have fled, protecting only himself, leaving behind the ones who had become his heart. Instead, he chose to stay, to shield, to fight. Too Deep's fear wasn't weakness, it was proof of love. Even trembling, she stayed. And staying, James realized, is perhaps the purest form of courage. The lesson is clear. We cannot control the storms life brings, but we can choose how to face them. Fear will always exist, but when hands are joined and hearts united, the impossible becomes possible. Family is not just blood, it is choice, it is protection, it is the act of transforming fear into courage because someone depends on us. Love does not erase pain, but it gives us the strength to resist it. And together, it gives us the certainty that any storm can be endured.